मेरी गलती क्या है? मेरी गलती यही है कि मैं मतलब देश का भला चाहता हूँ, इसलिए मुझे डंडे मारे जा रहे हैं।
लाठी चलाने से पहले याद रखना, ऐसा ना हो धर्मेंद्र प्रधान के साथ साथ आपसे तो हमारा भी ट्रांसफर करवाएगा।
ओ भाई,
सर की वाइफ के बाल खींचकर घसीट कर लेकर जा रही है पुलिस उन्हें। देखिए देखिए अभी भी
They are not cockroaches. They are people, precisely Indians. Today's question is not about one protest. It is about one democracy. Today, thousands of young Indians marched towards parliament. Many of them were students. Many had travelled across states. Their demand was simple: accountability. Accountability for repeated examination paper leaks. Accountability for those entrusted with protecting their future. Police stopped their march, citing prohibitory orders, and clashes followed. Tear gas was fired and blatant charges were reported as protesters attempted to breach barricades.
ओ भाई,
But this story did not begin today. It began weeks ago at Jantar Mantar, where Sonam Wangchuk, the climate activist, the educational reformist, sat on a hunger strike. Not for power, not for an election, not for a political post, but for students. For a generation that believes merit has become negotiable. On the 21st day of his fast, police removed him from the protest site and shifted him to a hospital. Police used white bed sheets to cover the public view, but truth cannot be shielded. Sonam Wangchuk has described it as an illegal detention. Authorities have maintained that the move was made because of his deteriorating health and in compliance with court directions. Sonam Wangchuk's wife has repeatedly said that she has got no trust on the government institutions, that he be shifted to a private hospital of their choice, but the government says no.
फंडामेंटल राइट
आपका फोन यहाँ रखा जाएगा, मैं फोन रखने वाला नहीं हूँ, ना मैं रखूंगा, ना मेरा कोई इसमें मतलब, ठीक है। पुलिस बाहर लगी है, ये मैंने नहीं लगाई, जो भी हुआ है मेरा जो काम है इलाज का वो मैं करूंगा। तो आप उससे अगर उनके बारे में बात करेंगे, मेडिकल बारे में बात करेंगे, मैं कर सकता हूँ, बाकी चीजें हम नॉट आंसर।
But look beyond Sonam Wangchuk. Look at that one image. A man on hunger strike, white bed sheets surrounding the stage, police carrying him away. And ask yourself, what does a democracy see when it looks at a fasting citizen? A threat or a conscience? Because democracies are not judged by how loudly governments speak. They are judged by how patiently governments listen. Today, students were not asking for charity. They were not demanding reservations. They were not asking for freebies. They were asking a question that should concern every Indian parent. If examinations decide our future, who protects the examination? If millions prepare honestly, who answers when the system fails? Every year, students are told one thing: work hard, study harder, sacrifice your sleep, sacrifice your childhood, sacrifice your friendships. Your future depends on one examination. And then, when papers leak, when entire examinations collapse, when careers are delayed, when years disappear, where is accountability? Where is responsibility? Where are resignations? Where is the political urgency that we witness before every election? These are uncomfortable questions. But democracy survived because uncomfortable questions are allowed to exist, not because they are silenced. Think about the contrast. When Parliament is in session, every road leading to Parliament becomes a fortress. Barricades, layers of security, police lines. Today, those barricades confronted students demanding answers.
हम इस वक्त जंतर मंतर पर है। यहाँ बारिश है, पुलिस की तैयारी है, टीयर गैस की गाड़ी है, आरएएफ है, सीआरपीएफ है, पुलिस है। लेकिन उसके बावजूद ये तस्वीरें आप देखिए, ये तस्वीरें देखिए, यहाँ सिर्फ और सिर्फ प्रदर्शन करने के लिए आए युवा, बुजुर्ग, महिलाएं सब मौजूद हैं। यहाँ कदम रखने की जगह नहीं है। इस बारिश में भी ये लोग टस से मस नहीं हो रहे हैं। आप इनको देखिए, ये अपनी माता जी के साथ आप देखिए यहाँ बैठे हैं, भीग चुके हैं, लेकिन यहीं पर बैठे हुए हैं और कह रहे हैं हम संसद मार्च करेंगे और यहाँ से नहीं हटेंगे। तो क्या महिलाएं, क्या युवा, क्या बुजुर्ग सब यहाँ पर बैठे हैं। जंतर मंतर पूरा का पूरा भरा हुआ है। दिल्ली पुलिस ने अभी तक इजाज़त नहीं दी है और जो रास्ते हैं संसद जाने वाले वो बंद कर दिए हैं। जो लोग यहाँ से बाथरूम भी जाना चाहते हैं या पानी की बोतल भी लेना चाहते हैं जाकर के, उनको भी बाहर जाने की इजाज़त नहीं दी गई है।
इस देश का इस बात के लिए तैयार हो कि शिक्षा और रोजगार पे अगर आप बदलाव चाहते हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि इन पे बात हो, इन पे बेहतरी हो, तो आपको इससे पहले जितना कुछ ट्रेन किया गया है, जिस तरीके की पॉलिटिक्स में ट्रेन किया गया है, उस सब को छोड़ के जंतर मंतर की कतारों में उतरना पड़ेगा। इस शर्त पे हमने अपना अनशन तोड़ा और आगे, लेकिन ये मूवमेंट नहीं टूटा है। ये मूवमेंट दूसरे फॉर्म ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट, मोड्स ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट में हम ऐसे ही कंटिन्यू रखेंगे और वो सब लोग जो यहाँ पे भूख हड़ताल पे बैठे थे वो इसको कंटिन्यू जरूर है।
A few years ago, when farmers marched towards New Delhi, authorities placed multiple barricades, including concrete blocks, barbed wires, embedded metal spikes on highways approaching the capital. That image traveled across the world. And ask yourself, why are roads to Parliament so difficult for citizens to walk on? Parliament is called the House of the People. If it belongs to the people, why does reaching it increasingly resemble crossing like a border? The irony is impossible to ignore. Political parties celebrate protest when they are in opposition. Every march becomes democracy. Every slogan becomes constitutional. Every police action then becomes authoritarian. And then governments change. Power changes hands. And suddenly, the same protest becomes law and order. The same slogans become conspiracy. The same students become anti-national. The same police become necessary. This isn't about one political party. This is about a political culture, one that too often measures the legitimacy of a protest by who is protesting and not by what they are protesting for. Tear gas shells lobbed at students today in New Delhi. Many got hurt. Yes, some police officials too were hurt, but police on the ground follow orders. A child of a constable is also a potential victim of system's future apathy. And ask, who are these police people? Who are these people who are giving orders to hurt the protesting children? And then ask yourself, where do the children of them who are giving orders study?
कोई इलेक्शन नहीं, हमारी बारी आएगी ना वोट की, किसी को वोट नहीं देंगे, कोई यहाँ पे वोट के लायक नहीं है।
हम पीसफुली हम कुछ नहीं कह रहे हैं, हमें जो पुलिस वाले बैरिकेड में धक्का दे रहे हैं, यहाँ पे मारा है, कमर पे मारा है, ये कोई बात होती है? हम भी मारे इनको, हम मारेंगे, लाठी चार्ज करेंगे, ये करेंगे, बैठाएंगे, एम्बुलेंस पे जाओ, इसके लिए एम्बुलेंस पे जाऊँ मैं? ये लगे एम्बुलेंस पे जाओ।
हम रेप के खिलाफ लड़ते हैं, इन लोगों ने खुद अभी लड़कियों के कपड़े फाड़े हैं।
हाँ,
ये लोग लड़ेंगे क्या हमारे खिलाफ?
सोनम जी को पकड़ा, सोनम जी को उन्होंने पकड़ा, जो क्रिमिनल्स है उनको ही पकड़ते इतनी जल्दी। वो सारे भूखे हैं, उनके लिए आवाज नहीं उठा रहे।
इन्होंने फीमेल
आज हम मार्च करने आ गए तो ये लोग आवाज उठाएंगे।
इन्होंने कपड़े फाड़े, औरतें
मार रहे हैं, पुलिस वाले ये चल रहा है।
इस तरीके से करें और क्या करें? हम सेफ्टी दे रहे, कैसी सेफ्टी दे रहे हो आप लोग?
मार के सेफ्टी
हमें यहाँ लड़ रहे हैं, हमारे लिए लड़ रहे हैं ये लोग, कह रहे हैं हमें हमारे लिए लड़ रहे हैं।
Remember Manipur? For years, the state burned. It is still violent. Hundreds were killed over the course of the conflict. Tens of thousands were displaced. Families were torn apart. A state divided in two, or could be even more. Whatever one's political views, many Indians ask whether the response from those in authority matched the scale of the humanitarian crisis. The government refused to speak on the issue initially, only under compulsion, one or two statements. The Prime Minister went to Manipur, and many saw that as a delayed visit, and no remorse, no apology, no explanation, nothing. That question still deserves an answer. Today, Parliament gates were locked because that's the temple of democracy, home to our politicians. And more than 70,000 people in Manipur don't even have a place to call their own home. People are still homeless. There's still violence going on. And you stay dismissive? How? Why? More recently, in West Bengal, the special intensive revision of electoral rules became deeply contentious. There have been reports of deaths linked by families and political parties to the stress surrounding the exercise, though the causes and responsibility remain disputed and politically contested. Over 27 lakh people struck out of electoral rolls. So many died, and yet elections kept the nation busy. Election victory muted the fear and pain of the people. Regardless of where one stands on the SIR itself, one principle should unite us. Whenever citizens fear losing their vote, whenever families say administrative processes have devastated them, whenever allegations emerge that people's lives have been affected, a democracy owes them transparency, not dismissal. And then comes another pattern. The language we increasingly use. Whenever people protest, someone asks, who is funding them? Who is funding them? Who is behind them? Are they backed by some other country, China? Another ideology, Tukre gang? Another conspiracy like Bangladesh or Nepal? Sometimes such allegations may indeed deserve investigation, but should suspicion become our first instinct? Shouldn't we first hear what citizens are actually trying to say before asking who they are? That is perhaps the biggest transformation of our public life. The debate is no longer about the grievance. The debate becomes the identity of the person raising it. Who are you? What religion? Which ideology? Which political leaning? Which university? Which NGO? Once we classify the citizen, we no longer need to answer the question. That is dangerous, because democracies are supposed to answer questions, not profile questioners. Think about young India. This is the generation we celebrate every Independence Day. The demographic dividend, the future of the nation, the innovators, the builders, the dreamers. Yet, when many of those same young people assemble to demand accountability, too often they encounter barricades before they encounter dialogue. A democracy cannot ask its youth to participate only every 5 years. Citizenship is not voting once. Citizenship is questioning between elections. Elections confer legitimacy. They do not end accountability. Har election jeet rahe. Bengal jeet ke. Wow! Winning an election is not the finish line of democracy. It is the beginning of responsibility. Because democracy does not live only inside Parliament. It also lives outside Parliament, in universities, on campuses, at Jantar Mantar, on village roads, in peaceful marches, in uncomfortable questions, in voices governments may dislike but must still hear. Today, people may disagree with the Cockroach Janata Party. They may disagree with Sonam Wangchuk. They may disagree with every slogan raised on those streets. That is their democratic right. But there is one question none of us should avoid. If citizens cannot peacefully ask questions to the government, then what exactly remains between one election and the next? That is the paradox before us. By the way, Mr. JP Nadda, BJP minister, met with Cockroach Janata Party leaders Saurabh Das and Ashutosh Ranga. And even after their meeting, a section of media tried dismissing that as fake news. Sources have told them there is no confirmation about such meeting. That's times now. Watch that picture. When will their source tell them that what you're doing isn't journalism? We proudly call ourselves the world's largest democracy. But where is India standing today in Press Freedom Index? 157 out of 180 countries. Shame. The challenge now is to ensure that we all remain one of its best listeners. Because governments come and go, but democracy survives only when the citizen never has to seek permission to be heard. And that is a question far bigger than today's protest. Jai Hind, Satyameva Jayate.